Hello, this is a screencast real quick for second and sixth period today. I'm gonna stay home. I was in an accident on Monday and just gonna go to the doctor and make sure I'm okay. So I'm sharing my screen here. Welcome. I posted it in Canvas Thursday, Friday in class. Easy 5 points. Try to get it done in class. We start with Bill of Rights notes. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. 10 amendments. Okay, see if you're better than Amy Coney Barrett about the five freedoms of the First Amendment, six limitations, Second Amendment, all the amendments. Here's our transition. Last question on the document: which rights need clear delineation? Okay, so that is the Bill of Rights notes. So in the end, what you turn in is the Bill of Rights notes with the seven First Amendment cases. Bill of Rights notes. There's actually a presentation. Okay, so here's the Bill of Rights notes. Here's the presentation. In the presentation, pretty straightforward. Okay, not a lot of background information. We'll use actual Supreme Court cases to look um, at examples of what you have as far as your freedom of religion for sure, what you have as far as your freedom of speech for sure, freedom of press. There's a Supreme Court case for sure. Assembly. There's not a required Supreme Court case, but we can talk about some cases. We're really kind of starting chapter 4 today, so you should have already read chapter 15. Many haven't. Try to skim it. Try to look it over. Make sure you have the vocab down. A couple of the key ideas. Pepper case. I'll give you some other stuff. Our quiz isn't until a week from now. Okay, so you have a week to kind of make sure you have chapter 15 and chapter 4. Chapter 4 has a lot of cases. We start with these cases here. We start with these cases in the handout. There's seven First Amendment cases. They put them in chronological order. So again, you turn in the notes document, turn the seven amendment cases document, put them into one document. That's easier. Easy 5 points. Okay. Good news about me not being here. Probably wouldn't have collected this otherwise. I will collect it. It's not that hard. You could do it as a group. Easy 5 points. All right. So here is the handout. Okay. Schenck, Chaplinsky, Tinker, Cohen, Miller, uh, Johnson, Texas v. Johnson. It's interesting we call it Texas v. Johnson. A lot of the other ones we just kind of call it by the first one. And then Snyder versus Westboro Baptist Church. We've seen Texas v. Johnson. Should be the easiest one for you. So maybe that's one of the ones that you do as a group. Okay. Schenck and Tinker are required cases. And they're all pretty interesting. They're all pretty interesting. So in order to get it done, a lot of folks might want to look it up on their own. You can. There's two documents to help you. One is the detailed source. Once upon a time, like this was printed out on paper and this was printed out on paper. Okay, this is the detailed source. And then you'd look up from this information. You'd fill it out from this information. There's the Schenck case, 1919, the story, the question, the decision. So, it's not the exact same thing, right? So, what is the big issue being addressed? Kind of what's the question there? What is the story? What's kind of key information? And then kind of summarize the decision. You know, uh, Make sure you get, I should add this. Make sure you get precedent. Precedent. Okay. I'll underline that and make it bold. Okay, already was bold. All right, I don't want to waste your time. It's not that hard. I suggest that you do it in groups. Okay, you jigsaw it. One person takes each case, 5-10 minutes, learns it, get back together. You share the cases. There's two questions at the end. By the way, there's this kind of handout, and then there's a kind of secondary handout that I'll probably have to do with you real quick on Monday. Okay, but again, kind of sets a precedent. And that gives that precedent right there. I have some more visuals, and like for the Tinker case, there's some other examples here. We call this the Bong Hits for Jesus case. Okay, pretty interesting case about eliciting drug use in schools. So for the Miller case, there's actually a better example here about the precedent. The precedent, pretty kind of hard to understand. Have to go over the Miller case. That's kind of a difficult one. like I said, Texas v. Johnson, pretty straightforward. Snyder versus Westboro Baptist, that's going to be the most kind of controversial case, probably. All right. And then in the end, by the way, what you need is two questions, right? Which two are most important? And then, you know, which, again, when you see the handout here, right? This is the presentation actually. You know, the teacher who I got this from, you know, wanted to kind of establish that free speech is pretty much cherished by our country, and there's not a ton of limitations. Other countries, societies, there's more limitations, right? And you can say a lot of things, right? But it's the controversial stuff where it becomes difficult to discern the line of what's allowed and not allowed. And when you get to Snyder versus Westboro Baptist, and it's pretty disturbing. It's quite disturbing what people were saying. Um, and you have to see what the Supreme Court said. Okay, I think if you go in presentation mode, by the way, you can kind of see. There's the question. Um, there you go. And that's a pretty interesting case. It definitely gets into our last question, like I said, our last question about, you know, what is protected? You know, should Nazis be protected to have marches in towns with large Jewish populations? You know, should you be able to burn a cross? Okay. So that's kind of the Westboro Baptist kind of case right there. Good luck.